Hey guys, I don't know. This is just finally going live. I'm late today. It's been a crazy day already, and I've hardly begun it. Okay, just getting up Empire of Stars here. If you hear some cat mewing in the background, that's because Mew is being very aggressively needing pets. Oh, here we are. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Pam. It's good to see you guys. For those of you who have never done this with me before, with all of us before, really, I'm going to be reading 2 chapters of Empire of Stars, my gay sci-fi story that is free to read for everybody. I'll put a link to it. We've got some exciting new additions to Empire of Stars. We have a encyclopedia that one of the members put together, which is now on the site, which is better than my encyclopedia, to be perfectly honest. And I was going through it and thinking, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Saya says hello, good evening, good morning. Saya's in Japan, and she always has so many cool things to tell us about what's going on at 4 a.m. there. Let's see here. I'm just going to put the link to the actual full serial. Hey, Crystal, how you doing? Is it going to let me pin this thing? No. Well, here we go. I'll just do that and then pin. Pin. Okay. So Crystal says hello, everyone. Hello, Crystal. Alex says I've got my Diet Coke and I am ready. I've got my Diet Coke too. I've actually got another can waiting with another lime. Melissa says, hi, Raythe. I can't listen today. I'm afraid I'm at a do that is celebrating my brother's wedding that should have been in Cyprus this week, but I will definitely be listening on YouTube and back next week. Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations to your brother. And absolutely you should be in that, but I am so bummed that it's not in Cyprus. Cat says meow. Absolutely. Cat always says meow. Meow, Cat. She's on. So we're going to wait a little bit because I got a late start. Normally I'm on much earlier than this, and I am not. Was not today because I got my flu shot. I did the good thing. I got the flu shot, but it was scheduled at 1 and there was some, issues, and then I had to eat something. Now I'm here. I hope you all are having a good day. Are you having a good day? Um, we've had sort of a rough week a little bit due to something that I did, which I'm just so upset about. Some of you already know. The Vampires Club box set, books 1 through 3, were supposed to be free, and they were, except that I had uploaded book 7 when I changed out the new cover. So I redid it and uploaded books 1 through 3 there, but I think I need to ask them to actually push it to all of you. But it is there. But needless to say, I feel like I want to just cry. Because we can't get those days back, and those people are going to have a bad experience, and it's just really not what they asked for. Yeah, it's just really annoying. So Crystal says, I just finished getting dinner together. It's in the fridge, ready to pop in the oven once we're done. What did you make, Crystal? I just had some really crappy Tombstone pizza for lunch, but I just needed to get something. So I'm sort of like, I felt a little bit like Jace and Khoth, because I was in a CVS, getting that flu shot, and I did really bad things. I got pizza. Well, this isn't really bad. It's just, it's junk food. So I got pizza and I got some candy, which I just should not be having. But I'm not having it now. I'll parcel it out. As Kat knows, I still have Halloween candy from like last year. I get it and I like having it there. Um, so, today we're going to do chapters 23 and 24, which I'm a little bit leery of because 23 is when they're getting out of the ship, out of the hive, rather. And that's going to be really action-packed chapter. So I'm not leery, but I want to make sure I have all the, like, awesome, uh, action and stuff. So Ranklin says, "Hi, I'm new here. What usually happens on your live stream?" Okay, so this is a very good question. I actually read 2 chapters of the gay sci-fi serial Empire of Stars. You can read along. There's a pinned comment that will get you to the actual serial, so you can actually read the whole thing and then read along with me. And then you can also ask questions because I break it up into parts because my voice goes. Um, and you can ask questions about the serial. You can ask questions about me or Raythe Rain or about the weather. Whatever you want to ask. We often exchange recipes here. Yes. So really, it's just everybody, gets together and just sort of talks, and people filter in. It's about a 2-hour stream. So don't be shy. I don't obviously answer comments when I'm reading. I come back to them. Kitty Troller is actually the business butler for Raythe Rain and, all around awesome person. And she will try to address anything that immediately needs to be answered while I'm doing something or pointing something out. But we're really pretty casual. So just say hi, talk to people, ask me stuff, and that's all we go. Crystal says she's making bacon wrapped meatloaf, twice baked potatoes, and salad. Oh my God, Crystal, could you come cook for me? I could handle that. Lo says, I'm here. Hey, Lo. Alex says, looking at the encyclopedia, I love it. I know. I know. She did such a good job. And I'm really hoping this is so, so bad. I'm like, oh, I hope she'll keep it up so I can just update it, with what she does. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. It makes it so much easier. Um, so I don't know what the weather's like by you guys, but it is rainy and it has suddenly turned to the fall. And I normally love the fall, but this year not as much because it just feels like, I don't know, a little claustrophobic. Okay, so we are 5 minutes in. I think I'm going to just give it 5 minutes more before I start reading, because I really started late and people are just, coming in. Crystal says anytime she's cooked for me. Excellent, Crystal. One of the things that people may not know is I love to cook. Kat loves to bake. And I actually cook almost every single week for her and Sylvia for a meeting. And I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it. I mean, I just was, like being sad about fall, but truthfully, I'm looking forward to making them soups and stews and roasts. I'm really excited about it. So, and they are very nice in terms of being like guinea pigs, man. Hannah says, I'm here, bright and sunny, but rain on the way. Yeah, Chicago's been really dreary for this past week. It just dropped. I mean, we went from like 80s, 90s to 60s. And, that's nothing new for those who know here. Lo says, the weather here is smoke. Oh, great. Hughes vomiting on the carpet. That's good. Are you low on the West Coast? I'm so sorry. Things going over there. That's so scary and just not good. Not good. So I'm thinking of all of you over there. Um, Kitty says paleo chili, please. All right, yeah, I'll make that next week then. That's easy to do. That's really, really good. And oh, it's so yummy. And it's amazing. The only sweetness comes from like one red pepper and one green pepper. And it's delicious. Crystal is asking Lois, well, are you on the West Coast? Yeah. Those on the West Coast of the U.S., by the way. That's what we're talking about. Kelly says, why was the blueberry? I think you meant, how was the blueberry buckle? It was delicious. It was absolutely delicious. Those who don't know and our members have exchanged recipes, and we put that recipe up on the newsletter. I definitely recommend you make it. Kat made it for me. It was so good. I ate all of it. Hannah says, I made sushi for the first time. It was really easy to make without the rice. Oh, nice. I know, but the rice is so good. So good. Okay, we're getting in here. It's a slow Saturday for us, but that's okay. Anyone have any good plans coming up later? My best friend's Lo is on the West Coast. My best friend's partner, his father recently died, so and he had to go to Florida, and he just come back, so they're quarantining for 2 weeks. So I am in. I have to I have to write Cinders and Ashes though. Kitty replying to Kelly says it was super easy to make and awesome. She used wild blueberries. Nice. It was delicious. I mean, and the crumb topping was just so good. There's a lot of talk about food here. I love food. All right, so we are at 2:08 now, so we're close up. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer, just going through again about what we do. Most of you know, most of you are the familiars who type in, but essentially I'm going to read chapters 23 and 24 of Empire of Stars, which is gay sci-fi romance. It is free to read for everyone. There is a link in the pinned comment so that you can go and read the whole thing whenever you like. You can follow along. You can ask questions. I'm going to break up my readings into 2 or 3 parts per chapter. And in between, just feel free to ask comments or questions about anything. You don't have to ask about the story. You can ask about anything at all. Franklin, I'm sorry, Ranklin says, thanks. Seems like a friendly live stream. Hope to knowing you guys more. It's 3 a.m. in the Philippines. Listening to all the food is making me hungry. I know. Oh, you just wait. You just wait when we do the junk food chapters and some of the other ones. It is a friendly group. They are so friendly. Raythe's been going for over 10 years now, and everybody, it's just been a wonderful thing. Can says, hello, at least I can enter the chat. Laugh out loud. Excellent, excellent. Marina says, I'm here, sort of. I'm on duty at the ship. Oh my gosh. Well, you do what you can. John says, thank you for doing these. My eyesight is going, so I was stupidly excited to find your stuff on Audible. Oh, I'm so glad, John. I know I've been having like issues with my eyesight too, and but the thought of going into a doctor's office of any sort right now is not good. Hannah says, our farm is 50 miles south of Malden. It's where the nearest post office was. We don't think they will rebuild. Oh my God. Oh, that's just so awful. Lurleen says she finally got on. It was hard to connect with the link. Oh, that's annoying. Saya says, oh, a fellow night owl. Here in Japan, it's 4 a.m. So yes, we've got people all across the world, which is so much fun. Okay, we are actually at 2:10. I am, again, I'm just going to explain what we're going to do here. I am going to read dramatically and try not to basically go over too many typos. Chapters 23 and 24 of the gay sci-fi romance, Empire of Stars. You can read along. You can comment on it. You can do whatever you like. You can put everything in the chat. And then we'll start. There's one more big comment by Alec here. Here in Maryland, we have comical amounts of rain, severe rainstorms and flash floods. The upside is that our seafood is truly unparalleled. For my birthday in June, my best friend got me a pile of crabs, whole steeped in Old Bay. We cracked those suckers open. I love the raw oyster too. Oh, I do too. Oh, I miss really good food. Kelly says, I've been looking forward to this as my coworker went to Florida on the 15th of August. So as she had to quarantine, so I was doing double duty for 3 weeks. She came into work Tuesday, but called out sick Wednesday. Oh no. And then was sent back home, back to double duty again until further notice, as she had to stay out of the office until she gets her COVID testing results. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah, the quarantining. All right. We're going to start. You guys can still keep making comments and put all your questions in the chat. I will, like I said, I'm going to take breaks. My voice, I've got like really bad allergies, as I'm sure most of you do, who are in the Midwest right now. I sort of trashed, but we're going to do our best. We're going to have fun. All right. Chapter 23. 10 minutes. The air whistled around Jace and Khoth as they jumped from one duct to another. Multiple escape routes appeared before Jace's mind's eye. They were represented by orange lines that traced routes, all of which led back to the hangar bay, where they left the needle-like ship in Gehenna. This was exactly what he had seen when he faced off against Khoth in the armory. "Osiris!" Jace cried as he landed on top of another duct. But there was no answer. Whether that was because the ship AI was simply being stubborn, or it couldn't communicate more than this, was unclear to him. But he didn't have the mental space to worry about it or figure it out. If the AI was being an ass, though, they were going to have to talk when he got back to Earth. "Has the Osiris reached out?" Khoth called. "Not sure, but I know how we can get out of here," Jace answered. As Jace landed on the next duct, his feet slid on the rounded top, his arms pinwheeled at his sides as he sought to balance himself. Finally, he did. Khoth then landed beside him, but the Thafel commander hit the edge rather than the middle of the duct with his feet, and immediately began to slide off. Jace grabbed both of Khoth's hands and pulled him up. They both wobbled as they sought to balance. Finally, they were securely on the duct. Jace glanced over the side and quickly jerked back as vertigo hit him. "That's a long way down." He let out a semi-hysterical laugh. "Inside. We should get inside," Khoth yelled as the duct started to vibrate wildly as three Sea-Tixes dropped down upon it and scuttled towards them. But the escape routes, which kept shifting as more Sea-Tixes arrived from all directions, did not indicate that they should get inside this duct. "No, come with me," Jace shouted. He took out his pistol and aimed at a Sea-Tix on the next duct to their right. It lifted its head and showed him row upon row of jaws inside of its mouth. Jace fired right into the center of that mawing pit. The back of the Sea-Tix's head blew off and its body slowly toppled from the duct. "Jump!" Jace cried again as he launched himself at the now vacated duct. Khoth followed. The Thafel commander shot as he jumped, taking down a Sea-Tix that would have landed on Jace and him. The centipede-like body brushed Jace's back as it fell into the pit below them. There was an angry, rattling hiss from the Sea-Tixes as their fellows died. "I think we've made them angry," Jace laughed, definitely hysterical now. "Indeed, and they seek to make us pay," Khoth agreed dryly. Jace pivoted to race up the one duct where a Sea-Tix burst out of the interior of it and began to wriggle out towards him. Another dead-eye shot, and it slumped forward, blocking the way both inside of the duct and beyond it. The amount of routes to get out of the core was narrowing as the Sea-Tixes swarmed. It didn't seem like he and Khoth could move fast enough compared to the creatures. There were only 5 routes left, when before there had been dozens. "Over and down!" Jace shouted at Khoth. He jumped and nearly slipped off the top of another duct. For one moment, Jace saw the pit yawn below him and wondered how far down the bottom was and what it would be like to fall all that way. But Khoth grabbed his shoulders and wrenched him back up. In the short time it took to do that, the routes had slipped down to 3. Just 3. The nearest exit was 2 ducts over, but it was up. These ducts were 4 feet higher than their current position. Jace brought both feet together beneath him and jumped. He went higher than 4 feet and let out a shocked cry of fear as he thought he would completely overshoot the duct. But he landed in the middle of it. It rocked with his weight. Thankfully, though, his body knew what to do and expect, even as his mind did not. Khoth easily jumped up, making a simple leap with his much longer legs. "Let me help you," Khoth said. Khoth grabbed Jace around the waist as he saw where Jace wished to go. The Thafel commander leaped and took them both up to the next duct. He let Jace go, even as Jace thanked him with just a bob of his head. "We can cut in with our Rahir and..." Jace got nothing else out, as a Sea-Tix uncoiled not a foot from his face, hanging down from an upper duct like a hideous serpent. It opened its mouth and hissed. Jace naturally ducked, just as it emitted some kind of caustic fluid that splashed onto the duct between him and Khoth. He watched, as in seeming slow motion, the duct bent and separated at that exact spot, and Khoth started to tumble backwards. "No!" Jace cried and lunged for him, but missed. Khoth twisted in midair and managed to grab hold of a duct below them. His Rahir and pistol, though, were lost as he did so. They fell into the abyss. There was another warning hiss from the Sea-Tix that was upside down beside him. Jace didn't even think. He brought his pistol around and shot it in the head. It tumbled down and hit the duct he was on, shattering it. Jace had only seconds to grab hold of the duct one over. Khoth jumped to that duct and pulled him to his feet. The routes out of the core had dropped to one. "Where, Jace?" Khoth asked, even as he drew his Drogvas, his only remaining weapon, from his holster across his back. There were so many cetixes that it looked like the ducks themselves were wriggling and squirming with thousands of pointed chitinous legs. The orange line showed him their final chance of escape. "There!" Jace pointed frantically down and to the left. Their escape route was through one of the ducts that must have broken long ago and was in the process of being repaired. There were no cetixes there, as it was just a nub of a duct sticking out from the core's wall, barely large enough for him to wiggle through and far too small for a cetix. They'd have to catch the lip of it and pull themselves inside before the cetixes had them. "Jace, they will be on us before we have a chance to get inside," Khoth cried. There's no other way," Jace swallowed. "We have to go there." "Are you sure?" "Trust me," Jace shouted, even as he wasn't sure at all. But the other routes were closed, as cetixes were coming from every direction. The cool thumped onto the duct they were on top of. Jace fired, Khoth fired. Cetixes fell dead and tumbled off the ducts like insectile rain. "No other way out! It's our only chance!" Jace cried. Khoth and Jace jumped from duct to duct at a full run, firing as they did so, not stopping to aim. But there were so many cetixes that even their blind blasts were hitting the creatures. That was when Jace saw the timer in the right bottom corner of his mask. They were already down to 8 minutes to get out of the hive. Jace pushed harder. There was a slick, wet sound, and Jace dodged as a section of the pillar sloughed off and fell over the duct. The color of the flesh pillar was pink and black now, and Jace swore that even though through the helmet's filters, that he smelled the decay. The duct bent, then snapped off under its weight. Jace saw that there were black, veiny lines appearing on the ducts, too, where it had broken off, just like it appeared on the pillar when he'd thrown the thumb drive at it. "It's spreading," Jace realized. Of course it was. That was what it was meant to do. Only 3 more ducts between them and the last route of the core now. He and Khoth barely touched the first two before landing on the third. Cetixes swarmed. Khoth's Drogvas made a throaty, thunking whine as laser blasts left its muzzle and found their mark. "You go first, Jace," Khoth yelled. "No, Jace!" And there was a command in that tone which Jace could not deny. It was followed by a look from blue on blue eyes that said so much more than his simple name had in that alien mouth. He was the pilot. He needed to escape. Khoth was not as important. But he was important. He was so important. Yet delaying the final leap would only cause Khoth to be in greater danger. So Jace shoved his pistol into its holster and jumped. His hands caught the lip of the broken duct. He felt the material crumbling, giving way. With frantic speed, he hoisted himself up into the opening, the duct crumbling into dust in his hands. The hive was truly coming apart. Jace crawled in on hands and knees. He had thought to squirm around and give covering fire to Khoth as the fell commander jumped, but the duct was too tight. There was no way to do so. He had to go forward. His calves and feet were sticking out of the duct. Khoth couldn't jump until he was out of the way. Jace crawled forward as fast as he could. The duct felt mushy and sticky beneath his elbows and forearms. He heard the whine of Khoth's Drogvas. It sounded more frantic to his ears than before. Was it possible for Khoth to shoot faster than he had been? Jace's calves were finally inside the duct. He squirmed and squirmed and squirmed. His feet were inside. He kept going, though, because Khoth was tall and he would need to get fully inside the duct, too. He imagined Khoth's feet sticking out of the duct and being grabbed by a cetix as it made a desperate last leap. He then imagined its weight pulling Khoth and it out of the duct, and them both spiraling towards the floor of the pit. That had him moving faster. Sweat coursed down Jace's brow and dripped into his eyes. His eyes stung with the salt. His breathing was all he heard in his helmet. Had the whine of laser fire stopped? Had he felt the thunk of Khoth jumping and grabbing hold of the duct behind him? He couldn't be sure. He had to keep moving. 6 minutes before the hive went boom or simply disintegrated. He wasn't sure which. The duct was definitely mushy. Khoth, Khoth, can you hear me? Jace asked, breathing heavily. He crawled a few more feet, and the duct was curving to the right. This wasn't at all the direction they had come in, but there was a bright orange arrow telling him that he was heading in the right direction. He saw that in addition to the timer and the arrow that there were 2 dots now. One was red and one was green. He guessed that he was the red dot as it moved at his pace. The green dot wasn't Khoth because it was ahead of him. He then realized that the green dot was where he had to be in order to get out of the hive alive. He scrambled frantically to catch up so that the red and green dots overlapped. Slime from those bulging sac creatures was everywhere. It smeared over the front of his helmet, it coated his fingers, it suctioned the front of his suit to the floor of the duct. Diet Coke, sweat, hold on. Sweat seemed to coat every part of him, and he felt it soaking his undersuit, and even wetting the palms of his hands and his gloves. But that sweat turned cold when he realized he hadn't heard from Khoth. His earlier call had gone unheeded. Khoth? He called again. Khoth, are you okay? Talk to me. The duck turned again. It was now sloping upwards. He strained to keep his forward momentum. The green and red dots were pulling apart once more. He jammed his boots into the half-hardened slime and pushed off from it. Gehenna! He reached out for her. Jace? She sounded as frightened and anxious as he felt. Jace, you're taking too long. You need to... I know, but Khoth, I can't reach him. Jace grunted as he was practically climbing the duct now, with his feet on the walls to brace himself, as he hauled himself upwards. He's not answering me. I can't get a hold of him. There was a very long pause. The sweat went cold as ice on his skin as he listened to that pause. He stopped climbing. Jace, don't stop, Gehenna cried. You still have a chance to make it. What about Khoth? Jace wasn't moving. He's... You've got to keep going, Jace, Gehenna cried. Keep going. You can make it. Gehenna, Jace commanded. Where is Khoth? Tell me now. He's been behind you, Gehenna said with a wretched gasp in her voice. He's turned off his comm. I'm guessing that he doesn't want you to come back. Because if you do, you won't make it out and... That idiot! That big blue idiot! Jace swore. You're the pilot, Jace. A lot more people than Khoth depend on you, Gehenna said with such sadness in her voice. Khoth knows this, and that's why he... We don't leave people behind, Gehenna, Jace said, and he unbraced his feet from the sides of the shaft. No, Jace, she cried. Oh, I knew you were going to do that. He slid down so much faster than he had crawled up. He tried not to think about how hard it would be to retrace his steps, how much time he was losing right now. He twisted his head and realized that the duck was about to collapse behind him. He heard muffled sounds of laser fire. Show me the schematics of this place, he demanded. Immediately, he saw that there was a room to his left, and that Khoth was still in the duct but fighting 2 Omul. Without even requesting it, calculations flashed before his mind's eye, telling him that he could bust through to the room with some well-placed pistol fire. He got his pistol out of its holster, and by turning and twisting his body was able to hit the weak spots that had the duct and room wall giving way. He burst out of the opening, firing where the heat signatures were, even as he couldn't see anything but a dark haze from the particles of disintegrating hive all around him. The 2 Omul went down. Jace swung his head towards the heat signature that was Khoth. The Thafel commander emerged from the duct after using his feet to kick the wall out of the way. Jace, what have you done? All right, we're going to take a little break here. Woohoo! Oh, that was exciting chapter. Okay, here we go. Hold on, going back up to the comments. All right, what do we got here? Ranklin says, hello, Saya. Aniko, glad to make it. Did you see that your encyclopedia is up? I was just telling everyone that I was like, maybe she'll keep sending me updates for it. Crystal says she's got her Dr. Pepper and she's set. Oh, Saya's saying my internet connection is apparently crappy today, so it's on and off. It keeps saying the broadcast got interrupted, so I missed half the sentences or just hear a word or so from the sentence. Oh, no. No. Sheila says, totally forgot about the reading, but I'm here. I'm glad you're here. Alex says, I love crab, but yes, the sea tickles are, are icky. Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah. Saya says, sorry, I'll have to bow out from the reading tonight today. I sadly get confused from all the interruptions. Stupid internet connection. Hope the rest of you have a great day. We'll listen tomorrow on FB or YouTube. Oh, what a bummer. Yeah, seriously, I agree with you, Ranklin. Alex says, back into Jace's tight, wet tunnel. You terrible, terrible boy. Kitty says, we'll repost it. We will. It'll be up. Laura says, made it. Laura says, I can't wait for this week's episodes. Alex says, a lot more people than Khoth depend upon you. Yes, but you kill Khoth and you kill the space penis erotica. Yes, I know, and that's far more important than anything else. And that's got to be space penis is very important. Crystal says, very exciting. Aniko says, yes, so she saw the encyclopedia. I'll maintain as the story goes along if that's all right. Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's more than all right. It's more than all right. I love it. I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much, and right back at ya. So, yes, I know I don't want to keep everyone like in suspense with this. Let me just take another drink and like blow my nose since my allergies like don't like me today. And then we'll just go. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. All right. Hold on a second here. I think Diet Coke with lime is probably one of my favorite things in the universe. There's something about the acidity from the lime that really makes it even better. Even better. Let's see here. Kelly says, weird fact about the blueberry buckle is that I love baking it, but I don't eat it. Something about cooked blueberries. I tried every couple of years to see if my tastes have changed. There are a few things that I make really, really well that I do not eat. And I don't know even why. But I love making them and people love eating them, but I just don't. Shaylina says, just arrived and already the phone call curse took effect, of course. Kelly says, a special secret project. I'm missing what you mean. Oh, you're asking about what the special secret project is? It is going to come up. I don't want to talk about it quite yet, but we might talk about it next live session, depending on what Kat wants to do. Lo says, thank you so much for this, Raythe. Today of all days, I desperately need this distraction to keep mind out of dark places. I understand. If I could do any little bit to make people happy, to me that is like that makes me happy and sort of gets me focused out of the sort of like dreadish feeling I have as well. I'm trying not to. I want to be happy and positive for you guys, which I mostly am. Things are good. It's all right. All right. So we're gonna keep going. Again, forgive my clearing my throat. We're just gonna go from here. All right, so it's part 2 of chapter 23. I'm saving you, Jace snapped. No, you've just managed to condemn us both. Gehenna, I want you to take the ship out of the hive, put it in orbit, pilot it here, Jace told her, even as he sent a coordinate. What are you? Khoth began. Jace, I won't leave you, Gehenna protested. We're not going to make it back to the hangar bay, but we can literally blast our way through the hive. Everything's falling apart, Jace explained, even as he felt the floor starting to give a little beneath his feet. We can survive in these suits in space, for a little while anyways. The thought of jumping into the vacuum of space had Jace's stomach doing jumping jacks in his chest, but he knew it was the only way. And the Osiris, for he was certain it was the Osiris now, agreed. It was showing him how to make his insane plan work. The orange arrow showed him the exact direction they needed to go, where they needed to shoot the walls, and how he could use one of the grenades he had to blast the hives through the hive's outer hull. That's an insane plan, Gehenna responded. But let's do it. Darn straight, Jace told her. The odds of this plan succeeding. Didn't I tell you I don't want to hear the odds, Khoth? Jace let out another hysterical bark of laughter. We're gonna make it. He holstered his pistol and brought out his Dragvas. Shoot where I do. And the two of them were shooting through walls and busting through into hallways, then other rooms, then more hallways. The Cool were in such a panic that the Omul and Cetixes The cool were in such panic that the Omul and Cetixes, oh my goodness, this is a bad time, over what was happening to their ship, that they weren't going after him and Koth. But when they did, hold on, sorry, but when they did get in the way, the two of them blasted the cool without hesitation. But the cool were not the true danger to them, as they came across a hallway that was filled with the gel containing the larva. It was running down the hallway like a river of filth. Jace reared back. Koth grabbed him round the waist, and they leaped over the material. Please let them not be able to drill through the soles of our boots, Jace repeated with horror, even after they had left the river of larvae behind. But the ceilings and floors were faltering too, and the heavy tanks that contained the humans and the larvae were starting to sink through. There was a terrible crack when they bashed into one room. Jace's head shot towards the ceiling just in time to see a tank's bottom start to emerge. He and Koth fired straight ahead at the next wall as they continued to run and blasted through it. Just as the tank crashed behind them, he heard a wet splat as water and larva and maybe softening human splattered on the walls and floors of the room they had just escaped. He hoped to any god out there that the humans were dead. He prayed that they were before this happened to them. How much farther? Koth asked as one of his boots punched through the floor. Koth asked as one of his boots punched through the floor. Jace helped him yank it out before they were blasting and running again. One more room. It's a hangar bay, Jace told him as they entered the final room before the outer hall. Similar to the one they had been brought into, this hangar bay, though, had no needle ship, as it was down on Earth. The hangar bay doors, though, were closed, and Jace saw no way of opening them except with the grenade. He held up an arm to stop Koth before he brought up one of the grenades that was attached to his belt. There are jets on the suits, Jace told Koth. We should be able to navigate to the cool ship. Jace, the likelihood of us surviving and making our way, it'll work. Trust me, Jace cried. The Osiris has got this planned. Ah, I see that my suit is now being operated by the AI as well, Koth stated. This is our only shot, Jace told him. Yes, Koth answered. They stared at one another through their faceplates. If this doesn't work, it will most likely not, Koth informed him dryly. Jace swallowed. Yeah, well, it's been awesome getting to know you. Really. If there is an afterlife, I'm going to tell them you were the best part. Koth's eyebrows lifted. I will do the same. There was no more time to say anything else. 2 presses activated the grenade. Jace then threw it at the hangar bay doors before grabbing Koth and bringing them both behind some of the stacked and empty pods used as a makeshift shield. The blast had Jace's ears ringing, but that was the last of his worries as he, Koth, and the pods were all sucked out of the huge opening that appeared in the hive's side. The 2 of them shot out of the hive and into space. The silence of space intensified the ringing in Jace's ears, and he couldn't hear Koth calling for him. In fact, he was struck dumb with both awe and fear as he realized he was floating in the void. The cold already wrapped around him like a lover's caress, even as the suit's systems strove to keep it at bay. He turned his head and he saw Earth hanging below him like some bright jewel. He also saw Koth, and beyond Koth, a needle-like cool spaceship. I see you both. I'm slowing. Oh, the Osiris has control. Gehenna sounded both shocked and annoyed. Don't fight it. It's controlling us too, Jace told her as his suit's jets were expertly turned on and off to direct him towards an opening in the cool ship. Jace relaxed and let the Osiris take full control. He and Koth were both being brought back into the cool ship as the opening closed behind them and gravity was reestablished in the door lock. He and Koth looked at one another. That should not have worked, Koth said. I know, but it did, Jace told him with a laugh. The Osiris made it happen. Yes, but even with an AI, the room for error was vanishingly small, Koth protested. I do not make errors, the Osiris said, not only in Jace's head, but it appeared on both of their HUDs. Really? Because we were just hijacked and taken aboard a cool hive. Jace put his hands on his hips. Unless you had something to do with that. The Osiris said nothing. Oh, guys, Gehenna said to them both, you need to see this. Abruptly, there was a feed showing on their HUDs that showed them the hive. Both of them watched as, in silence, The hive disintegrated, and the small pieces of it broke apart and dispersed into a glittering sea of destruction. We destroyed a hive, Khoth breathed. Yeah, Jace said as he watched as the hive, the cool, and the humans inside of it had all been turned into space dust. Let's go home, shall we? Khoth swung his head towards Jace and said, My home or yours? Jace sighed. He'd seen the enemy. He understood what they were facing. He couldn't unknow the horror of what he had seen. The cool had to be destroyed. Mine first. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 23. There was only a few small typos there. One that was rather spectacular, but I fixed that. Okay, so what do we got here? Kat is actually going to do the blueberry buckle with cherries and buttermilk next. It's going to taste delicious. Hannah says, many thanks for the encyclopedia. Oh, hell yes. I'm telling you. Like I said, I was reminded of things. Tara says, yay. Lurleen says, blueberry and peaches are good. Oh, I bet that is good. Kelly says, Kat, let me know how it works out and send me the recipe. Kelly says, right. Yeah, we knew what you meant. I do love it when Khoth manhandles Jace. That's from Tara. I love it too. It's so much fun. Alex says, these weapons and suits and tech kick so much ass. Now shut up about the odds, Khoth, and jump. Exactly. I know this is all like not hard science. I mean, I remember, I think I told you I had one guy who was like so upset with me about it being a space opera, and that, didn't I understand that all they needed to do was turn the colors of the lasers to blue or red or something? And I was like, I don't even know what you mean. I'm like, I'm sure you're right, but guess what? This is sort of fun. And that's not fun. Science can be fun, but not now. Kelly says, truth is stranger than fiction. What logically should not work doesn't mean it won't. The resilience of the human spirit and ingenuity. Absolutely. And desperation. Don't forget desperation. Alex says, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think even the Alliance has been able to destroy a hive yet. No, they have not. They have not. Because finding hives is actually like, they have incredible defenses. And if you honestly had to go inside each one, although I don't think they're going to have to, I think there's going to be a way to adapt what they're doing. Lurleen says, was definitely an exciting chapter. And so Aniko is like, so glad it helps. It does help hugely. It does hugely help. It does definitely have a good time there. So just give me a second, and I am going to, again, go on to the next chapter. I wanted to know, for those of you who are I said this before earlier in the stream, and I'm going to send an email out about it. I made a boo-boo. I updated the files in the Vampires Club and 1 through box set, and I grabbed book 7 instead of books 1 through 3. So everybody who's gotten books 1 through 3 actually got only book 7, and so that's going to be, I'm going to have it pushed to have it updated. But Amazon is not fast about this, and I'm so sorry. So if nothing else, what I might do is, for members, I will put a download link at some point so you can just grab it. But the problem is that I like when you do it off of, it's in KU, so it really should only be on, an Amazon. But B, when you do get the free books off of Amazon, to be honest with you, it's a real help because it gives it visibility, and that actually has other people get it, and then other people join us. But obviously having book 7 instead of books 1 through 3 in that is really upsetting, and I'm just very upset with myself. But it'll happen. I'll get it's fixed now, but for the first few hundred people it's not, so I've got to get that fixed, which is so depressing. In any event, sorry. It's okay. All right, I am going to go on to chapter 24 because we are just a quiet group this week, but that is okay. Now for a little bit more lightness. Well, actually, no. It's the next chapter that's light. This one is still sort of serious. That's okay. Chapter 24. What's right? Where is Jace? Colonel Diane Parker asked. Has anyone seen him? He was just here. Khoth, he was with you, wasn't he, inside the ship? The last of the cool ships was blasting off from Earth. They were headed towards the sun. Humans inside them had been given quick and as benevolent deaths as could be given. Jace has insisted on being part of every single one of those deaths. Khoth had been by his side, trying to give strength to his Z and Za, simply by being there, as words were inadequate to address the horror and pain and loss. But now, as Khoth turned his face from the blue-white glow of the cool engines, he realized that Diane was right. Jace was not there. This last ship to go was the one they had flown in, and there had been no humans to put out of their suffering inside. That had already occurred with the destruction of the hive. I do not see Gehenna either. Khoth frowned as he used his suit to search for both Jace and the AI. We just got him back, and he wouldn't explain. Diane bit down on the frantic fear in her voice. Her nostrils flared as she drew in deep breaths to steady herself. He asked us not to question him about what happened up there. Not yet. That he needed to get this done. She gestured towards the last ship, whose exhaust looked as large as another star in the desert sky now. And then he would tell us. It was on the return trip to Earth that Jace had explained to Khoth this plan. Everyone will want to talk to me, to brief us, I guess, about what happened and what we think it means and all that, Jace had told him as he had paced around the interior of the pod chamber of the cool ship. The pods were empty now, though there were still living larvae in the ship's systems. The skin between Khoth's shoulder blades twitched as that thought, and he found himself looking carefully at the piping, seeing if there were any leaks. The thing is that we can't really take time for all that right now. Gehenna tells me that there are a dozen cool vessels in and around Sunrise, all of them with cargo. We have to stop the suffering of those people, and we've got to get those ships with the larvae off Earth. Jace continued, and Khoth looked back at the lithe, yet muscular form that moved with grace yet tensity in that movement. He couldn't help but also remember then how Jace had risked his life for Khoth's, had come back for him despite such an act being almost certain death. And then he had put together an insane plan that had worked to get them out of the hive. He respected the young man before that, but now he had to admit that Jace was rising in his estimation to almost Daista levels. He tried to push down that admiration, reminding himself that Jace was very new to all of this, and yet he was the pilot for a reason. A debriefing in General Intoshkin's hands would take considerable subcycles. Khoth agreed with Jace. So I vote we don't go back to the base. We don't go back to the Osiris, not yet. Have them come to us, Jace said as he paused in his frantic pacing. We don't ask permission to deal with the ships, we just do it. That will get them off kilter. I agree. That seems like a wise course, Khoth answered. Jace looked up into Khoth's face. No one can truly understand what it was like in there but us, Khoth. Khoth's voice softened. No, they cannot. Everyone is just trying to wrap their heads around me, the Osiris, Gehenna, Jace told him. They'll want to think and regroup. They'll want to have things ordered before they do anything. Yes, Khoth inclined his head. Jace's eyes became unfocused for a moment. He was clearly speaking more for himself than for Khoth right then, and Khoth didn't think he was actually referring to those on the ground, as Jace said. The impact, though, of what we saw and did, it will get in the way of what we have to do right now to help people. They had not had a chance to speak more, as Gehenna merrily texted them that they were about to land. But no more needed to be said. They were in agreement that speaking of what had occurred in the hive to those like Mrs. Lowe would not be discussed until they had dealt with the other cool vessels and made Earth safe for the moment. Part of what Khoth had not had a chance to say to Jace was that his mother and a Thafel fleet might well be through the gate by the time they had completed that task. She would not allow General Intoshkin or the Parkers to keep Jace from the Illumen Alliance's grasp. His eyes scanned the sky for any sign of his mother's Colossus-class spaceship, the Asheton, but saw no sign of it yet. So his gaze swung towards Colonel Parker again, who was watching him very closely. Her hands were clenched into fists at her sides, and her whole posture was rigid. She didn't trust him. She thought he had something to do with Jace's appearing. Not yet. Yes, I heard him say this to you and agree with it, Khoth told her. In the gathering dark, his gaze narrowed as he took in all the people present. There were a dozen soldiers, all of them watching the ship leave. General Toshkin and Captain Parker were speaking together in low tones. Thama was somewhat in their circle. She cast a meaningful look at him and tilted her head slightly to Captain Parker and the general. Whatever the two were discussing, he was likely not to enjoy it. Where had Jace gone? His gaze was back upon Colonel Parker. It was best. What needed to be done with alacrity. If Jace stopped to speak with you and answer all of your questions, I know. Her voice was hoarse. She rubbed her face with both hands as if to clean away the emotion. But now he's gone. Khoth checked his suit systems. No sign of Jace or Gehenna. Their signatures were being hidden from the system. That meant that Jace had done this intentionally. There was no one and nothing on Earth that could have harmed Jace or taken him away now that the cool ships were gone. The Osiris wouldn't have allowed that in any case. It was still unclear if the Osiris had been behind the cool ship ascending to the hive, but what was certain was that the ship now had no intention of Jace being harmed. He is not in danger, Colonel. Diane, she corrected him. Her gaze became serious as she focused on him. I can tell that Jace has taken to you, that he's been influenced by you. So if you're going to be that close to my family, you can call me by my first name. Khoth inclined his head after a moment. He felt that by using her first name, she was making their connection stronger. It would be harder for him to betray her. And she was right, calling her Diane and then taking her son away. Well, it would be hard. But he had done many hard things in his time. Perhaps he has gone back to the Osiris, Khoth suggested, even as he knew that was not where Jace had gone. It was actually the last place Jace would go if he read the young man right at all. Jace was still half convinced the Osiris had sandbagged them. Not telling Jace what it was planning showed it didn't care about Jace's agency in all of this as the pilot. By staying away, Jace was punishing the ship in the only way he knew how. Besides, after all that had happened, the upheaval to Jace's Z and Za that day, Jace needed something familiar and trustworthy, someplace safe. The Osiris wasn't that in Jace's eyes right now. But still, he lied. That is the one place where it would be difficult to track him. He wanted to have a word with the Osiris, after all. She nodded and bit her lower lip. Yes, I'll try there. If General Antashkin realizes that Jace is missing, though, he wants to debrief him. We need to find Jace. Khoth nodded, but she was already turning and striding off. His gaze slid to Thama. The flight commander was making frantic movements with her hands towards the general and Jace's father now. He realized that they were about to do something very foolish, likely towards him. Khoth would not be there for them to do it. He brought the helmet of his suit up and turned on the suit's camouflage option. He did not exactly become invisible, but it was close. People would see a blur if he moved, but if he remained still, he would become one with the landscape. But he was moving, and it was dark, so there was a dark blur that zipped off into the night that no one noticed. He requested the address and directions to where he thought Jace had gone. Where are you going? Thama's text came up on his HUD. Going after Jace. Keep looking for us around the Osiris. Keep them looking for us around the Osiris, he informed her. Where's Jace? Jace is missing? Thama's use of the human exclamation point was similar to Gehenna's. He is not missing. He has merely gone home, Khoth told her. Keep the others away from there. Huh. From what people are saying here, I don't think they've even considered he'd go back to his house, Thama admitted. Amazing that you, who has only just met him, knows him so well already. Was there some kind of teasing in this statement? There seemed to be. Khoth cocked an eyebrow up at it, even as he moved as swiftly as the wind down Sunrise's darkened streets. There were no lights on in the houses. No children played in the yards. No adults congregated at the outside tables and spoke in low tones. Every single person in Sunrise had been taken into Area 67 for debriefing and containment. There was a 3-day infection window when it would become clear whether someone had been infested with larvae or not. Khoth wondered if there weren't infection in the population. The Cool had been known to infect individuals and set them loose to infect others rather than taking them directly to their ships. Part of him considered advising General Antoshkin that the best course might be to euthanize all the people who had come in contact with the Cool, civilian or military. He had not had the heart to tell Jace this option, for he feared the young man would break earlier. He could still remember how Jace had stood in the last vessel and closed his eyes. Tears had squeezed out of them as the young man had whispered, "Let there be no death. Let there be eternal life." "I will see to Jace's needs before the Asheton arrives," Khoth told Thama. "You must keep the others occupied until then." There was silence over the HUD. There was only a blinking cursor, and he could practically feel Thama debating with herself over whether to tell him what she really felt or simply to defy him. "Flight Commander Pyrrhus," he began, then stopped as he thought of Colonel Parker making him use her first name. "Thama, I am doing what is best, not only for the majority but for Jace. Do you think that his mental health is best served being made to relive what happened to those people in the hive, telling it again and again and again?" "How bad was it?" she asked. "Bad is a term that has no meaning," he reminded her. This was a human word that was so amorphous as to be useless, and yet, despite what he had said to her, he understood why it was used then. It had been quite bad in the hive. "Jace found aliens exist. He fought them. He became the pilot, and then he went and destroyed a hive with you in one day." Thama listed out the bare minimum of what Jace had been through that day. "You're right. He needs a break. I'll do what I have to in order to give you time to make him as right as you can. But Khoth," here she was using his first name, and the pause held a peculiar effect. He almost felt her hand on the front of his suit, gripping it, and him, bringing his face even with hers, eye to eye. It was a mental impression only, but it felt real. "Don't let the rule of Tukushka get in the way of doing what's right." She ended the connection. Okay, let's take a little break here. So, oh man. Sophie says, "I'm late, but here I am. Hello, everyone." "Hello, Sophie." Tara says Jace is a badass. He totally is a badass, actually. I wanted him to be like, he's like one of us, but like imagine one of us being like totally like jacked into being like, a perfect physical specimen with like all this awesome tech and all these awesome powers. That's what I wanted him to be. Tara says, "I'm looking forward to the confrontations between Jace and Khoth's mom. It will also be fun to watch both moms interact in person." I know, seriously. Alex says, "About time it got dark. It seemed like this day would never end." I know. I was like, I was telling Kat, I'm like chapter 23, 24, and we're still on the first day. Oh my lord! Don't worry, I'll make it go. Well, no, I won't make it go faster. I know I won't. It's gonna be a massive, massive story. Marina says, "Oh man, I gotta go work stuff. I want to stay and listen. I guess I'll catch this after the live. Hope this is a quick work thing." "Oh well, we'll miss you. We will miss you." Tara says that rule is a double-edged sword. It really is. It really truly is. Anika replies to Tara, "A clash of motherly proportions. This will be interesting to see how they navigate their interaction when they are so similar." They are so similar. And that's definitely going to be a lot of like headbutting. Crystal's like, "Poor Jace. He's been through too much. He needs Khoth cuddles." He does. He does. He does. He does. He does. He needs some sleep too. I haven't allowed him to sleep, so I don't know how that's going to happen. Maybe they'll just hide out in the home and like see what happens. Just like leave that. Maybe they will find the two of them in a essentially in a pile of wrappers and pop. And they finally look to see if he's at the house. I wouldn't blame them both for basically like wanting to relax a little bit and stay away. Annika says, "Khoth cuddles to come soon." Yes. Sophie says, "I say yes to cuddles." Yes, I know. But you know, the hug was like a big, big deal, which is going to be made more clear in the next chapter by Gehenna, but really it's going to be made clear to him by Thama, because she's going to like sort of explain like, oh yeah, you know, there's no touching like that. There's no PDA. Crystal says, cuddle while sleeping. Yes, 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 yes. I like that idea. I like that idea. They're both enjoying this. I think I would enjoy it. He just seems like a cuddly person, even if he's pretends not to be. Lurleen says, isn't the Colossus ship an Altaith ship? If so, Jace, as the pilot, could have control. At least the Osiris would. Yes, it is an Altaith ship. The Ashaton is. They totally could control it. Yes, they could. That is something that that has a point. So there's no way that she can make him leave. I mean, all their weaponry too is all Altaith, and that's all controlled by the Osiris and Jace. So they can make it so it doesn't work. Like basically, you can't shoot with the pistols or the Dragavas, or the swords will break. Yeah, it's sort of like right here. So he's not going anywhere. And truthfully, he could probably just commandeer vessels and have them stay on Earth. But I don't think he will. He wants them to agree, because that's sort of like the person he is. He's definitely not a dictator, but you'll see how what's going to happen there. We're going to have to do I think next month, this month or next month, I will have you guys do the Make an Alien. So that'll happen. All right. Let me take another drink. And then we will finish up chapter 24. It's gone fast today. Everyone's quiet. Lurleen says, I see a scene from Flight of the Navigator where when asked, the ship get them out of and responded compliance at much speed, went 20 miles up. I haven't seen that. But I can imagine I sort of understand what you're saying. Okay, here we go. He blinked. The rule of Dakushka was what was right. The majority over the one. The selfless over the selfish. One's personal desires had to bow to what was best for everyone else. And yet... He had reached Jace's residence. He slowed to a walk as he went out the front pathway to a door. The hum of an air conditioner turned on. The chirr of night insects was obscured by the mechanical sound. And yet there was something comforting in the whir of a fan, the clink of metal on metal. It reminded him of being in the Exarch. The mechanical processes were peaceful, as when he was inside of the Exarch he was alone, cocooned away from all expectation and duty. His eyes slid over the low, single-story home. It was solidly built. It hugged the ground as if hiding from the sun and moon. Cacti were the only vegetation and formed a protective barrier along the outside of the house. There was a single concrete step before a door painted white. There were no lights on inside. At least there wasn't at first. But then there was a flash of one, and Khoth smiled. He'd been right. He had been taught that humans knock on doors before entering a dwelling. They also would wait after the knock to be let in, or they might holler, hello, and simply walk in to announce their presence if they were particularly close to the owner of the property. Before Khoth could determine what course was best for him in this situation, the door opened and Jace was standing at the threshold. In one hand he held a jar of something that said Jif, and in the other was a spoon with a dollop of tan, creamy substance that he was licking. Are you going to just stand there or come in? We're letting the air conditioning out, Jace said as cool air rushed past him and bathed Khoth's face. I was debating whether to knock and wait, or not knock and yell a greeting as I pushed my way inside, or just go inside so you wouldn't run away, Khoth told him. Jace's face, which had looked lined with exhaustion, had brightened with every word he said. At the end, Jace was just grinning and chuckling despite Khoth's growing confusion. I do not see what is so amusing. Is that not the way of your species? Khoth asked with a lifted eyebrow. Oh, Khoth, may you never change. Jace just shook his head and laughed. I am certain I will, as do we all. Khoth, though, decided that such a discussion on change and stability would be best held inside. Jace was right. The cool air was leaving the home, and considering that humans used fossil fuels for the most part to create their electricity, it was wasteful to stand outside. Once he was inside, and Jace had shut and locked the door after him, Khoth was able to observe that Jace had retracted his hard suit. He still had on the synth-skin suit, but the collar was undone, and he had wrapped himself in a hooded sweatshirt with a zipper. Jace caught sight of him noticing his outfit and gave a rueful smile. I was actually going to get changed into sweatpants and a t-shirt, but none of my stuff fits. Too small. This is my dad's. He plucked at the zipper. If I actually zipped it up, it would be skin tight on me, but it's cozy open like this. Your synth skin suit should perfectly regulate your temperature, Khoth stated. Cozy is different from warm, Jace said. Khoth frowned as he followed Jace towards a small kitchen table where there were bags of chips, bottles of Coke and Mountain Dew and Fanta, along with various wrapped food items called burritos and Hot Pockets. Gehenna was over in the kitchen proper. She had opened one of the burritos up and put it on a plate before placing it in a microwave oven, likely to be heated up. Or so his suit told him. It was the light from the interior of the oven that he had seen outside. I went to the convy and grabbed whatever I could. I'll have to reimburse Walter. Jace stopped and stared down at the foodstuffs. The convy. Do you suppose they'll rebuild it for him and the rest of the people? Their homes and their businesses. What are they going to do about that? Will the whole town be in on it now? That aliens are real and... Or will they lock them up forever and throw away the key? Like Sunrise will become a ghost town, or maybe they'll fill it with secret agents that look like citizens but aren't. I do not know. Any of those options are possible, Khoth responded, while internally he thought, and it will not matter, because you will not be here to see it or deal with it. How did you find us? I had Gehenna totally block everybody's ability to scan for us. Even the Osiris hasn't quite gotten past her defenses yet. Jace's head was lifted up again, and he was focused on Khoth in a way that had been similar to Diane's gaze. Khoth found himself straightening up under it. I surmised that after all you had experienced, that you would seek someplace familiar, someplace where you felt safe. Jace blinked at his explanation. Most people would think I want to be with my parents if I wanted to feel safe. But Khoth shook his head. They lied to you. Even though the reason for it were good ones, you would not feel safe with them. Jace slowly nodded. I love them so much. He scrubbed his hands over his face again like Diane. But I just need a moment, you know? To just think, He made a gathering gesture. Take everything in and sort it out to feel like me again. Don't let the rule of Dukeshka get in the way of doing what's right. Thama's words echoed in his mind. There was an electric beep from the microwave. Gehenna used one of her pinchers to press a button that made the door pop open. A smell wasn't unpleasant at all, but rather meaty and rich flowed out. She took the plate out with a pincher and set it down on the table. She urged Jace to consume this burrito. It needs sour cream, I think. I think there's some in the fridge, Gehenna, Jace said. The AI in her cleaning bot body went over and opened the refrigerator and took out a small white plastic container. Jace took it from her and used the now clean peanut butter spoon, that's what Jif was, his suit told him, and put 2 large spoonfuls of white cream on top of the burrito. Jace then dug into the streaming meat and corn mush. He was about to eat it when he noticed Khoth watching him carefully. Don't let the rule of Dukeshka get in the way of doing what's right. Jace, with a crooked smile, held the spoon up to Khoth's lips. Try it. You might like it. I know it's something new, but... Khoth ate the spoonful of burrito with sour cream. The taste was surprisingly good. It was meaty, smooth in parts, and chewy in others. The sour cream was cool and had a faint tang. He swallowed and licked his lips before finding himself staring at the burrito again and then at Jace's face. Don't let the rule of Dukeshka get in the way of doing what's right. Gehenna, I think he might like it. Jace let out a soft, wheezing laugh. I want to keep him laughing, Khoth found himself thinking. Exaggerating the archness that was usually in his voice and crossing his arms to the wrists behind his back to look extra aloof, Khoth stated, Of course, I enjoy it. It is much like space paste. Jace threw his head back and laughed so hard that his eyes started to tear. The laughter started to change. Khoth had expected this. Tears were flowing down Jace's cheeks. He was shaking, and the laughter had turned to sobs. Khoth stood there, dumbly, for a moment. And then he recalled how Jace's parents had hugged him, and the way the tension had bled out from Jace. Hugging. It was a sacred act, only done with family and private for the Thafel. But Jace needed that comfort, and though Khoth was not family, he was the only one there to give it. And he wanted to give it. Khoth reached for Jace, and without hesitation, Jace came into his arms and clung to him. Don't let the rule of Dukeshka get in the way of doing what's right. I will make sure that you always have the time you need, Khoth found himself saying to Jace. I swear it, Jace. This was what was right. So this was what he would do. And we are at the end of chapter 24. I can't believe it. It went really fast. It went really fast today. Excellent. Excellent. Let's see what we got here. What do we all got going on? So Shaylina says, will Khoth allow Slim Jims since he had such a day, or would he chuck it again? The destruction of the Slim Jims. I almost got those from CBS earlier. That's a good question. He will monitor Jace's junk food consumption. Tara says Navigator is a much watch. I will look into it. And Kelly says it should be on Disney Plus, and I do have Disney Plus. I am excited. Laura says Khoth should love garlic and apples. What, love garlic like apples? Oh, yeah, you mean like eat garlic like apples? Oh, I love it. That would be awesome. Lurleen said, would like General and Toshkin and Khoth's mom finally see who and what Jace, the pilot's power was, and he'd be beyond their control and demands their respect. Yes, they both will realize that it definitely does demand their respect and that it's hugely powerful. But at the same time, they are both representing two adverse. They want that power to be on their side. So, Khoth's mom will be like, you're helping so many civilizations by helping the Illumen Alliance, not just Earth. And basically General Toshkin's like, they made the choice by not making us a full member. If they make us a full member of the Illumen Alliance and treat us right, we'll lend you to them. And then Jace will be like, I'm not being lent to anybody. I do what I want. I have my plan. So yes, but they're both still going to want to, they're not just going to step back. That's not the type of people they are. They just can't. And they do have great wisdom to be shared too. Tara replying to Lurleen, humans have a bad habit of destroying things that scare them when they can't be controlled. That's very true. Lock it down and throw away the key is sometimes how they go. Kelly says, I think this Disney film came up a couple of months earlier. I also like The Cat from Outer Space. Okay, that's a different one. I don't know that one. Hannah says, creamy Jif. No way, crunchy is way better. I actually love crunchy peanut butter. Oh, so good. Tara replied to Hannah, only for cookies. The rest of the time, it's creamy all the way. I love them. I love peanut butter. It's so good. Valerie says, my favorite way to eat peanut butter is with the spoon. Yeah, it is. Alex says, can Jace see in the dark and infrared now? Is that why his lights weren't turned on? He didn't turn them on because, in all honesty, he didn't want people to see that he was there. But he can see in the dark, yes. He can see infrared. It's like, I'm debating whether it's the suit or whether he has it naturally. Lo says, I love peanut butter, but that crunchy stuff is some of the grossest stuff ever. Creamy all the way. I know Kat, you're gonna need to do a poll about creamy or crunchy peanut butter. Kelly says peanut butter with Oreos are good, along with the healthier apples and peanut butter. Yeah. Oh, apples and peanut butter are great. Although I had this teacher when I was young, like she was, like Halloween is like candy. Okay. Yeah, you can have like apples and peanut butter, but that's what she wanted to have. Like, oh, let's do that. She was one of these stick thin women, and I was like, what the hell? Hummus and Cheez-Its are a must. I've never done hummus and Cheez-Its. I will have to do that. Kelly says, and sour cream is a must with burritos and tacos. Oh, hell yes. Oh, hell yes. Sour cream is awesome. Kelly, oh, and pierogies. Oh, pierogies. I love pierogies. Kelly says, I love pierogies. We're both and yeah, we're good. Alex says, we all deserve a home where we feel safe and loved. Mine is called the Wombatorium 2.0, a capital idea you can find here. I know. I love watching you with your stuffed animals. Tara says Khoth cuddles. Hannah says Wag's finger. No, no, no. Crunchy with 70% dark chocolate is best. Oh my God, that's so true. Aniko says, please cuddle Jace forever, Khoth. Yeah, so there was Khoth cuddles. Sophie's like, yes, the hug. See, this is why I need a heart and crying smiley on the site. Oh, by the way, Sophie, I reached out to Jeremy to look into that. We have a software called Commento, and they have various different like upgrades. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do like that. Don't worry, we'll have crying emojis. We'll have all that. I think. I would imagine that they can update it. Lo says, I love Koth, just wanting to make Jace laugh. So sweet. Yes, yes. He realizes that that's like really what Jace should be, laughing. Shaylin says, amazing. Loved what I was able to listen to. Thank you, Shaylina. Pam says, oh no, garlic is nasty. The thought of Koth eating garlic like an apple. Laura's like, haha, true. And Laura says, Koth hugs must be amazing. They are amazing. He's like strong. He's just got the right amount of like, like squish to you. And then, oh, it's so good. Shaylina says, I like creamy peanut butter, obviously, all the way. And yes, peanut butter with apple gala, preferably. Wow. Aniko says, Koth is so huge. They must be wonderful, enveloping, and wonderful like hugs. They are. They are. They are. They are. Sophie says, I'll never understand American people's obsession with peanut butter. It's okay-ish, but not that good. But, Sophie, you've got like, the French have so many different cheeses. I mean, we do too, but you guys, oh God, French cheese. Jesus. It's like its own food group. Really and truly, truly, truly French food. So, so, so freaking good. I miss it so much. It's not something that I can actually prepare myself because it's, more the old fashioned type with, the sauces and everything. Kelly says dark chocolate. Sophie says, thank you for looking into it for the smileys. Absolutely. We always have to like basically like update stuff, if somebody sees something that's not right, let me know. Hannah goes, Kaya. Alex says, the hug means so much due to quarantine. I've only had 2 since February and they made me cry. I know. I know. I've had 2 situations recently where I've had to say no to doing things with people. And I really feel like I was like having PTSD, like, having to, not to exaggerate, but I feel like anxiety and heart palpitations, like, the thought of doing some of the things I wanted to do, even though I really want a hug from people. It's like, ugh. Crystal says, have needs to have a private break down, then storm out and let everyone know what's what. Yeah, they do. I wonder if they can just hide out in the house and just say, we'll deal with it in the morning. Kitty replying to Cat's replying to Sophie about the peanut butter. Okay, ish is my feeling about it too. Yeah. Kimberly says creamy peanut butter is good, but Nutella is great as well. Nutella is too sweet for me. I don't know why. It's just too sweet. Lurleen says on with honey and buttercream together on a salty cracker. Ooh, that sounds good. Do you know what I love? I love matzah with like sweet cream butter and like the salt. Oh, it's so good. I miss matzah. Crystal says, Jace, my autocorrect hates his name. I know, isn't that weird? It is a real name. I didn't make it up. Laura says, I don't do peanut butter obsession, but I do like it with bagel and bananas. Interesting. Interesting. I really like bagels with like everything bagels with this like chive and onion cream cheese. Yeah, that's a word. Tara says, great reading. Sorry for joining late, but loved it. Thank you. Thank you. Sophie says, I agree. Our cheeses are the best. Oh, French food is like so spectacular. All right. I have to stop that. That's just like, cause I can't have it right now. You can't really, Sophie says, by the way, when do we learn about the secret project? Where do I sign up for testing? You will actually, I'm sure Kat will reach out to you as well as I want to talk. I think we're going to talk about it maybe next week, maybe, but we're working on it. We're working on getting it together. I need to do one thing, and then Kat needs to do a lot other things, and then we need to do a little like pre-alpha testing, and then it will go to you guys. And believe me, it's gonna be fun. And we're gonna have a lot of questions for you, and we're also gonna ask that you like really dig into this because it's gonna be a first thing of this kind we're doing. Laura says, second this. Yes, you believe me, guys. We will be relying on those of you who will do this. It's so we're so excited to share this with you, and it's really exciting. I think. Anyway, I don't oversell it, but it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. Alex says, there's a cool way to make birds on a log using celery, peanut butter, and raisins. I think I know what you're talking about. I used to make those with the raisins too. Yeah. Yeah. Good times. All right. I guess I'm gonna stop the live stream because we are down to peanut butter discussions, which is always good, and I love peanut butter discussions, and I love you guys. My voice is going. Thank you so so much for coming. We will be doing another one next week. It'll be chapters 25 and 26, which will be written tomorrow. 26 will be written tomorrow. I really appreciate it. I love seeing you guys here. It really makes my week. It is so much fun. Um, so thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hugs, and kisses, and all of that good stuff. Stay safe, everybody. Okay, take care. Bye.